Hey guys, this is Jaybird from UGX Mods, and today we're going to be doing another tutorial on prefabs. So the first thing we're going to be doing with them is I'm actually just going to do an explanation of how to use them and what they are. The second thing I'm going to be going over with them is just the saving process, so how you would save a prefab and be able to use it. And the third thing I'm going to be going over is editing existing prefabs. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright guys, so we're back in the map here, and what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to explain what a prefab is. So a prefab is actually a map file. So it's a .map file, just like your actual test map here or your own map, but like we did our RK5, this is actually its own map file. So there was an empty map file that's literally just got this brush, a struct, and the chalk of the actual RK5. The scripting side of this stuff is actually just because of the KVPs, which we'll go over in a later tutorial on how to do some scripting entities and whatnot. But yeah, so there are many different types of prefabs you can do because it's literally just a map file. So it's like having a map file in another map file, and there's some prefab settings here as well. But basically, it allows you to create, say, for instance, you created a building and you wanted to have that building so it was one object, and you didn't want to have to move all the brushes and all the models that were in that building. You create a prefab of that, and now it's one entity. You can still edit it because it's still its own map file, so it still allows you to create and edit the actual parts of the building, but it allows you to also be able to move it at the same time. So you see, if I wanted this whole section here that we created last time to be its own prefab, well, first of all, if I wanted to move it, I'd have to select everything here. Like if I just tried to move one of the objects or two of the objects, it's just going to move like the ones that I have selected. So if I wanted to move them all, I'd have to select them all. So let's create this into a prefab. So we're going to start off by saving prefabs. So when you have everything that you want to be in a prefab selected, what you're going to want to do is just right click and come down to prefab. You'll see we have a whole bunch of prefab settings here. So the one that we're going to want to do is save selected as new prefab. So what that's going to do is bring up this new window, just a save window, and it's basically just going to show you the map source folder under underscore prefab. So this is your prefabs folder. I've created my own called Jaybird, but for now we're going to create a test one. So I just right click there and went new folder, and then I can open up that folder, and I can call this test building, and then it's going to save that. So now if I deselect everything and if I tried to select this wall, it's actually going to select the entire prefab. So now it's treating it as one entity. So that's basically how you would save it as a prefab. The thing is, you could also just create a separate map. Like say I started over a new map file and then I just saved it. If I saved it under the prefabs folder, then that would also be considered a prefab. So it's just a map file. So that's all it is. So now for editing the prefab, because right now I can't select a specific entity, I can't move that chair without having to, I had to go into the prefab to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is select the prefab and then just right click and go back to the prefab settings here, and I'm going to do enter prefab. So now you can see the rest of the map has kind of disappeared. Don't worry, it didn't delete or anything. I've just now opened up that map file. So now when you look at this at the top here, I have map source, prefabs, test building. That's exactly what we saved it. So now I'm actually in that map file, and that's why there's only the things that I had selected. So the RK5's there, the chair, the walls, and the ceiling. So what I can do now is I could actually add more things in here. So say I duplicated this chair over, remember click M to bring up the models window here. Let's say, so we'll just select a table, and then it should load, although that's not a table, that's a stand for a table. So we'll add the table, we'll add the tabletop. There we go, we have a table added. And so now I'm going to save, so Control S, or you could do File, Save. But then now we want to go back to our map file to see if this change was made to the actual map. So we'll go and right click, prefab, leave prefab. So now we're back in the map file, and our table is showing up as part of the prefab now. So that is actually a pretty simple way to have things organized. So I could actually start making, okay, this is building A, I could start making building B, and like, you know, you just keep doing it like that, and it's optimized. So you could also have, when you're doing group projects and whatnot, and have one person going off and creating one building, he could make it as a prefab, and then he sends you that prefab map file, and then you just drag it into your map and set it to where you want it to be. So it's a pretty easy way of getting this to all work together and be organized. So this is actually something that I use quite a bit when I'm making a map. The last thing that I'm going to want to go over here is, say you don't want this to be a prefab anymore. You're done with it being a prefab for whatever reason, or maybe you wanted to move something but you don't want it to be a prefab anymore for whatever reason. Select the prefab, right click, go to prefab, and we have stamp prefab. So that is going to stamp all the objects in this to be exactly where they are, but not be part of the prefab anymore. So I'll hit that, it'll just deselect everything for me, but now when I try to select something, it's it's its own entity, it's not part of the prefab anymore. Although if I go to my prefabs folder, so because I have mine, it should be under prefab browser, and then we have our folder still, so it was under test. I'm gonna have to reload this because I made that folder since I launched Radiant, so I'll hit reload. So that's another tip: if you created a folder or added a prefab and it's not showing up, just hit the reload button there, it'll pop it up here. So I'll hit test and test building, so I'll drag that on right here, and look at that, it's still got our prefab because it's saved as a map file. But this one is not a prefab because we stamped it, so it's its own separate group of entities now. So it's like I can move this wall over there, and then this is still going to move as one thing. So that's going to cover prefabs, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more tutorials. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.